Okay, welcome back to Consciousness Rising. As you can see, I'm trying something completely different today, because sometimes when I'm on my way to work, I have a lot of thoughts about what I want to say, and usually I get to work and I record the audio file. I thought I'd do something different today. I thought I would film myself while I drive. This is kind of a psychological health tip. I know I haven't made a video for ages. I've been a little bit unwell. This is all to do with art. Now, art, and this is my psychological health tip, to get involved in some kind of art. Now, why do I say that? Because a bit like when I was talking about tarot, it opens up the right side of the brain, which is, especially in the West, massively shut down because of the education system. To be a whole being, you need both sides of yourself, the masculine and the feminine. And art is a great way to express yourself, to get in touch with emotions and energy, creative energy. I can't remember. So yeah, there was a therapist many years ago called Otto Rank. He's written some very good books, by the way. Especially the trauma of birth. That is very deep. And he has this return to the womb metaphor, which I've referenced before. But one thing he used to do with his clients, they'd obviously come to him for therapy. One of the first questions he would ask them is, are you involved in any creative outlet? And if they said no, he would say, well, that's your first task. Your first task is to get involved in a creative outlet. Because he recognised, I really believe this on a deep level, that, as I've said before, we are co-creators with this universe. It is part of our inherited nature to create. And I'm not just talking about creating life, obviously that is an amazing thing that we can do. But I'm talking about your everyday deeds. In fact, your whole life is one single act of creation every day. And it's a form of magic, which is why you got to get it right, as Crowley said. Every single day of your life is an act of magic. So, opening that right hemisphere of the brain and becoming involved in creativity is very good for our emotional and mental well-being. Now, the other thing I want to link into this, well, two things actually. One thing is that often when you are involved in a creative process, be it painting or playing guitar or whatever it is, it could be anything. It could be cooking. Cooking is a creative process. Cooking's one of the best, because then you get to eat the food. But you'll hear artists often talk about, I was in the zone, and all time and space collapsed around them. Now this is really interesting, because I think what's happening in there is they're reaching a different state of consciousness, like a trance state. Now, and they say when they're in the zone, everything flows, they lose time and space. I've had this happen to me before as well. It's an amazing feeling that we can access all these different states of consciousness. But yes, so that's another part of art. You know, we have these different states of awareness and consciousness available to us, but sometimes, you know, we need to trigger them or access them, for want of a better expression. Anyway, going on from that, the other thing I want to talk about is spiritual, what people call a spiritual experience. Now, I'll tell you what I define as a spiritual experience: anything that moves you on a deeply profound emotional level. And what do I mean by that? Well, your emotions are energy in motion. And in fact, actually, in many ways, your emotions are your link. They're your spirit. That's how we feel the deeper things and understand and unlock deeper access levels to the self. That's why in therapy, we're not as interested in the thought processes. When you go deeper in therapy, what you want to look at is the emotions. Because the emotions are your spirit, really. They're your soul. They're your soul's voice, if you like. Now, you hear a lot of this lately, you know, this sort of ayahuasca journey and DMT, and, you know, I had such a profound experience on mushrooms, and all this sort of psychedelic stuff, and I'm not against that. But you do not need that stuff to have a spiritual experience. One of the most profound ways in my life that I've had the most deeply spiritual experiences is through art. So I'm linking this together. Art is such a powerful, powerful thing. And it has moved me to tears. It has excited me beyond belief. And it's allowed me to access different levels of consciousness through experiencing art. Now, that is your soul speaking. And you'll find that psychopathic individuals, and even narcissistic individuals, they don't have that. Especially psychopaths. They will never look at a sunset and be in awe of it, of its beauty, of its, that's something you can't measure. That's something that hits us on a very profound level. So when people say, oh, I want to have spiritual experiences, I've got to get off my head on ayahuasca, it's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. The best way I've had it, experienced it, has been through art. Now, my art might be different to yours. I really like movies. Movies have moved me to tears on many, many occasions. I also experienced something called Frisson, I think it's called. That's where, I'm sure a lot of you relate to this, but where all the hairs prickle because you're in a heightened state, because you're hearing some beautiful music. That's a spiritual experience right there. You do not need drugs to access this stuff. It's part of us. And art has been one of the most powerful things for me to send me on a journey. Lately, I have times in life that I'm more sensitive to it, and times that I'm not as sensitive to it. That's just part of it. I think that's to do with how we feel on the day. This is my journey to work, and most of the time I listen to music. I want to do this today because it's something different, and some of the music I listen to, it blows me away. It blows me out of my body, In fact, actually, some shamanism used to use drumming and things to travel. And as I've said, I don't think you can travel the stars in a ship. I think it's done through consciousness. But yeah, that's a psychological health tip for you. Get involved in art, experience beautiful art, go on see if you can link, and get an emotional thing out of a beautiful movie or some music, and yeah, it's all good for you because it opens up that right side of the brain, which, as I said, in the left, very lacking. You can be too right brain, so it's not always as simple as that. What we're looking for is balance between the two. Alright guys, see you in the next one.